Hi, today we're going to talk about something that is a sin, a training sin, that's arguably one of the most common amongst well-meaning, hard-lifting trainees. It's certainly a mistake that I used to make with my youthful exuberance in abundance. I can long remember making this mistake and older, wiser and cooler heads trying to tell me, this is not how you do it, Nick. They didn't always get the best response back from me. Maybe I was polite, but in my head I was going, no. The harder you push, the better it is. Now what I'm talking about the overuse and the abuse. It's not what you think it is. Of forced repetitions. So forced repetition, for those of you who may be fresh and aren't too sure what it is where you get a partner. You can even do it to yourself on certain exercises, and your partner helps you lift a weight on the concentric positive raising up part of an exercise movement. It's usually what we would call an intensity technique. It's something that we would use to push past failure. It was popularized by people like Mike Mentzer and Arthur Jones way back in the day, and it was the cornerstone of my early training, and it was a mistake. It was a mistake. So let me tell you why. Let me tell you about what happens when you use a forced repetition. The problem with forced repetitions, there's two big problems. Trainers and individuals and trainees get carried away because they think it enables them to push things harder. Harder. I know I always say train hard, and I mean it. But pushing past the point that your body can't do anything isn't always good. You're basically going to overtax your nervous system. Your recovery ability is going to drop right down, and it won't work. And if you don't believe me, if you're a big proponent of forced repetitions and you are not a chemically assisted athlete, it's very simple. Just do force reps continuously on one exercise. Do 3 force reps per exercise. See what happens to your performance improvements. They will be negligible. You may well regress. Follow the same protocol with no force reps. Hit failure, not every time, but hit failure, if you're doing 4 sets of a movement, hit failure at least in 1 set. Don't push past failure and then see what happens. And you will make more progress, because it's not always about trying to push past failure. It's too taxing on your body. On occasion, do it. On occasion, on the last set of the last rep, you might want to do it. We're going to get into the hows of you do it in another video. So that's the first reason to be very wary of force reps. The second reason, and it's a reason that most people miss, is if you're training for hypertrophy, and we're pretty much, most of you watching this are going to be thinking about muscle building with your training. It's all about, the exercise is all about keeping tension on the muscle in the right place. You know this. Good form is paramount. You know this, you don't need me to tell you. If you're doing a curl and you're flip-flopping around like a motherfucker, what's going to happen? You're going to take the tension off your biceps and put it everywhere else. Now what happens with the way most people do force reps, especially with beginners who struggle to keep tension, if you've been training for 5 years, you know that every year that you've been training hard, you can squeeze more out of a repetition because your nervous system is more efficient. You've used that movement pattern time after time after time. So if you take a relative novice and you give them force reps, the tension goes. Think about a bench press. If you're doing a force rep on a bench press with an experienced trainee, I wouldn't necessarily give them a force rep deliberately, but they might fail and you'll eke it out. Okay? They're going to push and they're going to still, if it's a chest focus, they're going to try and still squeeze their pecs and squeeze the bar in. If it's a triceps focus, they might be still pushing their arms, ripping the bar apart and trying to squeeze up with the triceps. If you're not experienced, what happens? If they do this, right, they try and push with their anterior deltoids, they try and push with their rotator cuff. They do everything, and they flip-flop and they wiggle around like fish out of water. This is not what you want. You want to always keep tension. So I have a big issue. It's they're too hard for people most of the time, and that goes for everybody, right? That goes for virtually everybody. and they force you to lose tension too much. So if you have got into the habit because you are keen and you're enthusiastic, and that's a fantastic thing and it's something to be encouraged, if you've got into the habit of doing too many force reps, just step right back. Now, as I said at the start of this video, the way to do force reps, in my opinion, is last set of an exercise, you hit failure, maybe your partner helps you a little bit. I mean, some exercises lend themselves to force reps if you're really going balls to the wall anyway, because otherwise you're going to get pinned. You're going to get pinned on a squat, on a bench press, and things like that. But I've seen guys do force rep after force rep on every biceps exercise. Honestly, fuck that, right? It's not going to work. Better way, a little bit of body English, get the momentum up. A better way, extend the set, a little bit of a pause in the rest position, go again. That's going to have better results for you than continuously smashing forced reps. I don't know the strict scientific answer, but just all my years of observation on my own training people, and just observing, hard training people, you can so overdo the force rep, and most other intensity techniques are more appropriate and will yield better results. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to do another video about the right way to actually give a force rep, because that's another thing that's a disaster a lot of the time. But if you have any questions about force reps, put them in the video below, and I will always do my best to answer them. So this is Nick Mitchell, and train hard.